Hello. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Debbie from HitchedAway, and I had to interrupt that countdown for just a second because we're a little behind. I don't think we're really behind, but anyway, happy Sunday. I don't know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. I'm Debbie from HitchedAway, and my goal is to completely demystify what is involved with having a destination wedding, but also I'm kind of steering things in the direction of having a romantic event away. So hitched away implies weddings, but also romantic events are really, really great to do away from home. So when I say romantic events, I'm talking about honeymoons, baby moons, anniversary celebrations, vow renewal, proposal. Those are the things that I think we remember. And if you want to do something a little different and a kind of, stump for choice, I think doing it away from home is great. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to be in another country, but just maybe, an hour's drive away from home. But it's less about the distance, but more about the experience, right? So if you're not quite sure how to do that, I'm the person to help you with that. So today I'm streaming live on HitchedAway's live page, hitchedaway.com/live. But I'm also, as it says right here at the bottom, streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you're joining me on either of those platforms, you can join in the chat live, and I will absolutely acknowledge you and make sure that your comment shows up. I'm also streaming live on Instagram today. Hey, Instagram, because of the API, the comments on Instagram won't show up, but I'll keep my eye out just in case. So today, AMA, Ask Me Anything, is a chance for you to do just that, ask me anything. And I have a few questions here, and I'm going to tackle those, but feel free to chime in at any point if you have something to add to what I'm saying, or if you have a question. And of course, if you're here joining me live, please let me know your name and where you're joining me from, and I'll bring up your comment live on the screen. All right. Okay, so one of the questions I got here, let's see if I can pull this one up, because sometimes it's easier when kind of keeps me focused on what we're talking about. Is one that comes up quite a bit. Who pays for a destination wedding? Who pays for a destination wedding? This is a good question, and I can understand where it's coming from, but as with most weddings, you, the couple hosting the wedding, are responsible for paying for the wedding. For the most part, the wedding, the actual event, the experience, anything associated with your ceremony, decor, efficient, location, venue. If you're having a reception, you're responsible for the food and the decor, tables, chairs, servant staff. If there's a bar, you're responsible for that. You, the couple getting married, just like a wedding in your hometown. No difference there. Where I think this question is coming from is that a lot of times, depending on the destination, those costs may not be what you associate with your hometown wedding. For example, if you're having a destination wedding at an all-inclusive resort, say in Mexico or in the Caribbean, a lot of times you will be introduced to a variety of wedding packages, and those packages include a lot of what I just mentioned: ceremony, decor. Cake might be included for the reception. This is how much it's going to cost for, your guests to eat here. But it's still cost associated, albeit usually less than a hometown wedding. But you, the couple, are responsible for those destination wedding costs. Here's the part that I think is driving that question. A destination wedding involves travel, hence the destination. So there are costs associated for you and your spouse, you and your fiance, to get to the location and to spend time at the location, i.e. your lodging, your accommodation. But if you're inviting guests, as many couples do for their destination wedding, your guests also have to incur costs for travel to and from the location and to stay there. Those costs are associated, are your guests are responsible for. So you're responsible for everything that you would as a host. If you're having any special events associated with your wedding, you know, a cocktail, a welcome party the night before, those are your costs, albeit usually oftentimes packaged and at a better deal. I shouldn't say the cost so much. You're getting more stuff for what it's the value add, right? So you're responsible for that. But your guests, you are not responsible for getting them to and from the location. Neither are you, nor are you responsible for paying for their accommodation. Although some clients do, depending on how well heeled they are and the experience they want. It's not unheard of for celebrity couples to fly everybody out to the location, pay for their accommodation, but traditionally that's not a cost associated with the couple. So you pay for your destination wedding, and your guests are responsible for their travel to and from and for their accommodation. If you're having your wedding at a venue other than an all-inclusive, whatever costs are associated for any guest to stay there, your guests are responsible for. So, you know, if you don't stay at an all-inclusive resort and you go to a hotel that has traditional, you know, you pay for your room per night, but every meal you pay for, any activity you choose to indulge in, you pay for, then your guests you'll pass those costs on to your guests. So I hope that answers the question, who pays for a destination wedding? Bottom line, you, the couple hosting the wedding, do. Okay. All right. Another question I got, which is a good one. Let's see. Do I have it here? Yeah, this is a question that doesn't come up much, but it's a good question. Can Catholics have a destination wedding? This is a good question because if you're not Catholic, you may not understand where this is coming from. So when if you're a baptized Catholic and you're having a Catholic wedding, the Catholic Church has some strict guidelines, doctrines that are in place. And a significant one for a Catholic wedding, for it to be a Catholic wedding, is that it needs to take place traditionally in a Catholic church, in a sacred site, and that is the Catholic Church. So depending on where you're getting married, if you know what you have in mind, say a beach wedding, that may not be possible and is unlikely to be possible. So if you want a true Catholic wedding, this is where this question is coming from. There are places that, and knowing this, there are a lot of places here in the US, which won't be a problem. You know, you just find a Catholic church. There needs to be communication with your home parish and the parish where the venue is located. And there are different guidelines. I'm not Catholic, but I know, you know, there's some premarital steps and not training, that's not the word I want to use, counseling that needs to happen beforehand. But the actual wedding, the location needs to be, this is something that has to be arranged beforehand. You can't just arbitrarily say, hey, you want to get married at this location and we're going to have a Catholic wedding. I'm going to jump into the Caribbean because that's the area I know. Sandals and Beaches Resorts is a very popular location. I think most people, when you say Sandals and Beaches, they know what I'm referring to. But if you want a wedding at a Sandals and Beaches resort, then you can have one, but not everywhere. For example, there is on the island of Jamaica, the home of Sandals, they have a resort in Montego Bay, and there's actually a chapel there. It's a beautiful chapel. Maybe I should pull that up to show you. Let's see if I got the link here. Should have done that before, right? Okay. If not, I'll add that a little later. Maybe I'll come back to that. But there is a chapel. When you go into the Montego Bay Resort, there is a beautiful chapel, and it's designed, I don't know if it was designed for a Catholic wedding, but that is a sanctioned and certified location for a Catholic wedding. I also know that in the Sandals Resort in Ocho Rios, Sandals Ochi, there is an over-the-water chapel that has been certified for a Catholic wedding. So that is a non-issue there. I also believe, as I record this, as I'm here with you today, Sandals' newest resort in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is a location in that resort that has been sanctioned, certified for a Catholic wedding ceremony. So these are, if you're a devout Catholic and you want a Catholic wedding, this is a question that would come up. So the answer to the question is yes, you can have a destination wedding, but just remember, a destination wedding doesn't have to be out of the country. It can be anywhere that it's almost like you're planning a trip. You're planning a vacation for you and your guests, and that can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be out of the country. If it is, however, even if it is out of your hometown, the Catholic parishes need to communicate. There needs to be communication there, and it needs to be a place that is has certified sacred for the ceremony. So the answer is yes. Good question, though. That's a really, really good question. All right. Let's see. All right. There's always one. So I have a question from Melissa Reinhardt. And Melissa asks, are you ticklish? Hi, Alyssa. Thanks for joining. And she says, you said ask you anything. Absolutely. I am ticklish. I really am. So thank you for asking the question, Alyssa, but I am ticklish. And Alyssa, where are you joining me from? I'd love to know where that is. But ask me anything. Alyssa, are you ticklish? Curious to know. Are you? All right. Okay, so I've got another question here, and anything you want to ask me, ask me. I swear to you, ask me anything. All right, I have another question. Where is it gone? Oh, I know. Here it is. Right here. And again, if you're joining me live, welcome. I'm broadcasting, I need to say, I'm streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at HitchedAway. So if you're on the live page on HitchedAway, which I think is picking up the YouTube feed, but if you want to comment or ask a question, whether it's related to destination weddings, romantic trips, or, my reactions to being ticklish and things of that nature, just pop them in there. As long as it's not crude and not too offensive, I'll answer. All right. Okay, so the other question I had, where is it? Oh, here it was. Here is it. Here it is. Here it is. Here it was. Here it is. Okay. This question came up by way of another conversation I was having with someone about invitations. And the question is this: when should I send destination wedding invitations? When should I send destination wedding invitations? So typically, if you're having a traditional hometown wedding, for the most part, folks are local. I think wedding invitations go out around the 6-week mark, maybe 8 weeks, depending, but 6 to 8 weeks. When you're having a destination wedding, which involves travel, you got to give people more time. So once you know the date, of course, and let's go back. Once you have the destination and the venue and the date confirmed, so it's a done deal, wedding's happening, we're good to go, then that's the time to send out your wedding invitations. And well, let me backtrack. That's not entirely true. With a destination wedding, what is really important is to, of course, let people know if you want people to show up, right? If you're eloping and no one else is coming, you don't have to worry about that. But if you want people to show up, you got to give them enough notice. They got to take time off work. They got to book their travel. They got to get their budget in order. They got childcare issues, elder parent issues. All those things have to be, taken care of. What you want to do is send a save the date. And this lets people know we are getting married. We are getting married at this destination, and this is the date. So please save the date. And what needs to be on that save the date is an invitation will follow with all the details. But again, because there's travel involved and people have to make arrangements, you want to send this as soon as possible. So as soon as you have the destination, the venue, and the date confirmed, that's when you should send the save the date. The wedding invitations will come after. And as soon as the wedding invitation, though, has more information, so that has more specifics with regard to, here's a place that you can stay. These are this is the airport you need to fly into. You don't want to make people think too much. You want to give them all the tools they need to make their best decision and make their plans. And the way you do that is to save the date, and then the invitations follow up a few months later. So for the most part, for destination wedding, at least an international one, the planning is happening 12 to 18 months, sometimes less, but 12 months is a comfortable time. So usually once you have once that's set up, then you send a save the date, and then the actual invitations will go out a few months later. A lot of times, though, for destination wedding, it's not really a traditional invitation, because so many of us, we're online. We just go online to get all of our information. Someone may, what you can do is create a website, and it's a web page. Website's a little ambitious, but someplace online where all that information lives. And a lot of times you'll see these wedding websites, right? They'll say, this is how we met. This is our story. This is my maid of honor. This is my best man. And this is the story. But what's really important and what your guests need is information. And that should live on the wedding website. And what happens is that website almost always takes the place of a wedding invitation. Yes, send wedding invitations. You absolutely can. But you always, what you want to do is somewhere in that invitation, you drive people to a website, someplace online. And the reason why you want it online is because information is fluid. It will change. Not the date won't change, the venue won't change, but as you get information about hotels, or as you make arrangements, like you decide, maybe you book your wedding and it's happening on June the 5th. Let's just pick a date. And then you decide a few months later, you know what? Let's do a welcome party the night before on June the 4th or on June the 3rd. So if your invitations were already gone out, then how do that opportunity is missed. But if you have a website, then you add that information. June the 3rd, we're having a welcome party. You also want to add things like, this hotel is a few minutes away from the airport, and these are the arrangements to get to the airport. Or there are 2 airports that serve this location. Airport A is 20 minutes away. Airport B is about an hour away, but you can choose either one. So things like that would go on your wedding website, and that takes the place or can work in tandem with the wedding invitation. So in my traditional long-winded way of answering that question, you send the destination wedding invitations as soon as you have all of the confirmed information. But what you really want to do is that once you have your destination, your venue, and a date, send out the save the dates. And the save the dates can be electronic. Many times they are. Or it can actually be something you send in the mail, put a stamp on it. And you want to give off the vibe. You want to get people excited, right, about the event. So if you're having your wedding in Italy, then your save the date, you want to reflect that. You want to reflect that this is a wedding it's happening, in Europe, and get people excited. The destination wedding by its very nature is already different and exciting, I think, but I'm biased in that sense. So the save the date, you want to represent and tie that in. And then a few months later, send the invitations. But the invitations really are the concrete information about what's happening, and link that to a website. Make sure on your save the date, you say a wedding invitation will follow, because you want, people are going to be looking for information. But on that save the date, again, if you have the website, you link that there, and people will know to continually look for the information there. I hope that answers the question. Send your destination wedding invitation as soon as you possibly can is really the answer to that. All right. So, all right. Any other questions? Any live questions today? Let's see. Hi, Sherry. So good to see you. Thanks for joining. Sherry says the hotel's room availability. Sherry, are you saying, I know you're responding to something I said before. So clarify that for me, and good to see you. Let me know what it is you mean when you say the hotel's room availability, or maybe it was when I was lost for words. Is maybe that's what it was. But anyhow, so good to see you. Okay, so I've answered. I had another question I didn't get to pull up on the screen, but someone had asked, can I live stream my wedding? And yes, you can live stream your wedding. And I think we're in an age like I'm talking to you live right now. You can do that in so many different ways, but there are companies that will do that for you. I'm going to jump into Sandals again, and Sandals and Beaches Resort offer that as a service. So for many occasions, and most recently, I've experienced this for a funeral, right? There's a link, and then you can watch the funeral live, usually on YouTube or on Zoom. You can do the same for your wedding in an official capacity. And depending on who the service provider is that provides that service will determine what platform they use. Many times it is a proprietary platform with a special name and a link, and folks can follow the link and then see the wedding live. But I'm sure, a lot of times you've got guests and maybe you assign someone to stream the wedding, but just depending on where you are, depending on how data works and if you're getting good bandwidth, that can be a bit of a trying thing to do. But I think for your wedding, just in the same way you would hire a professional photographer and a professional videographer, go with a professional company to live stream the wedding. But yeah, I think that's a great thing for guests who cannot make it. As you might imagine, because there is travel involved and usually a significant cost, not everybody's going to be able to make it to your wedding, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to enjoy and see it in real time. All right. Okay. Oh, Sherry, you're clarifying for me. So Sherry had mentioned she said initially the hotel's rooms availability, and I wasn't quite sure what she was referring to. And she's followed up and said, yes, that would be fluid information on the wedding website. Thank you. Yes, when I was lost for words. See, the intelligence is in the room. Thank you. So yeah, so as this in response to that question about wedding invitations and having a website, the website is the way to get everybody on board. What some couples do is they create a Facebook group just for their wedding. And of course, it's a private Facebook group, and this is a way to communicate what's going on with the wedding as it happens. It can get into a bit of depending on how busy and how involved and how communicative people are, can be sometimes it's not always easy to streamline the invitation, but that's a way to do it too. You have a website, and then you can still have a Facebook group, or maybe the Facebook group serves as the wedding website. Working with clients, a lot of times I'll spearhead that. I'll create the website, or if they already have a website, I'll get a page on the website and has everything that the guests need to know with regard to travel, flights, suggested airports, suggested ground transportation, and all of the room rates for the hotels that they're, if they want something beachfront, they want something, they want a swim up pool, if they just really couldn't care less about the room and would really just want the most economical room. All that information is listed on a specific page. If not the entire if I'm not spearheading that website, then I'll at least try to get a page, and that answers all of the questions that guests have. And guests are going to have questions with your wedding. This is a thing. A destination wedding is a great idea, but for some people, for many people, there are a lot of questions to answer, and you have to decide how involved you want to be in that. I mean, initially that may sound like it's no big deal, but as things start ramping up and you've got a lot of things to do, get your outfit, the attire, figure out, the menu, although all these things you'll do with the resort if it's all inclusive. But you, the couple, are the folks that your guests are going to come to with questions. And believe you me, there are all kinds of questions, related to the hotel, related to the temperature, related to the food. I have an allergy. medical, and I'm saying it not in a way to, to say that these are not important, but these questions will come up and you have to decide, is this something that you want to be in charge of? Or do you want to, hand that off to someone else? But if you've only got a few guests coming, it may not be a big deal. You have a larger guest list, could become unwieldy. And, a lot of clients I know say, I get two kinds. First, the ones who say, well, more than two kinds, but two that stand out. First group says, the first client says, oh, we have a large family, we have a large head count for family and friends. We anticipate at least 80 people coming for sure. And then really in reality, it's closer to 20, maybe 30 people. And then the other camp is, oh, we'll invite everybody, but we know most people won't show up. And then they're surprised. They've invited 40 people and 38 people have said, yes, we're going. So you have to know your people, but don't assume. For many people, your wedding, your destination wedding, whether it's in another state or in another country, is their vacation for the year. So when you think someone may say no, they may actually say yes, because they will use this opportunity, your big day, your celebration, as the reason for them to travel. And when you thought they would say no, they actually say yes. In many instances, your wedding itinerary is about 3 or 4 days, and folks will add days on at the beginning or in the end or both and extend it to a week, maybe 10 days if they have that time, because the thought process is, if I'm traveling and we're doing all this, we're going to spend longer than 4 days. Let's extend this. So you got to know your people, but sometimes you think you know, and you really don't know. All right. Okay. Any other questions? Last calls. We're coming up to the 30-minute mark, and I really don't want to have you here longer than that. I will say the next session, or is it the one after? I have to look at the day. If you go over to HitchedAway.com/live, and if you scroll down, there are a list of the upcoming dates. And for the most part, it's Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, as I say this right now. I know that will change in a few weeks. But what I'm working on are these specific topics. But the one that I'm working on right now is for planning your honeymoon. And you may think, well, what's involved there? But just to be top of mind, a lot of clients, a lot of couples, are having their wedding. It's a hometown wedding, and the honeymoon is sort of like an afterthought. So I'll be talking about that with some tips and tricks. So if you or someone you know is getting married and you haven't really thought about the honeymoon and you're not quite sure timing and things to consider, I'll be talking about that. But what you want to do is to go over to HitchedAway.com/live. You'll see a list of the upcoming live shows, and you can register. When you register, what that will do is it will give you a reminder right before we go live. And that's a great way to show up. And also, if you have questions, you can ask questions beforehand. And the way to ask questions is to either go on the Facebook page, Facebook.com/HitchedAway, or you can send me an email, Debbie@HitchedAway.com, or you can call the talkback line. I can't remember the talkback line number. I know it's a 202 number, 202-681. I think it's 2126 is the talkback line. If you leave a message there, I'll get to it, and I'll probably play your audio back during the live event. So I need to update that. But okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much again for joining me. And if you're watching the replay, thank you again. And if you or someone you know is planning a significant or has a significant romantic occasion coming up, wedding, honeymoon, birthday, proposal, they want to do the renew their vows, anniversary, birthday, please let me know. I'd love to help in coming up with some ideas for making that extra special, whether it's local or whether it's out of town. Just visit HitchedAway.com/call. You can schedule a 30-minute call, 30 minutes, and we can talk about whatever it is you want. Maybe not so much about, me being ticklish, but listen, if that's your thing, have at it. Give me a call. But schedule time and we'll talk. But thank you again for joining me. I wish you a safe and happy week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Alyssa. Good to see you both.